All right, people. Hey, I think I hit a escape button and killed the show. We are back live for
Welcome back in
part 2 of the Denko Gridiron Show here today on Wednesday.
Hey, just imagine that there was a commercial break there for Bud Bartley Homes and Marty B's.
I like that.
And then here we are. We're back again after showing off both of our sponsors, which, by the way, check out Bud Bartley Homes and Marty B's.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, hey, we were talking about Lake Dallas Falcons.
We were talking about
the Denton Broncos.
Yeah, and they were the only matchup from two different schools that we cover in the area that went head-to-head this past week. Lake Dallas came out on top 20-3. A very defensive game. The Falcons just had an amazing effort on the defensive side of the ball. They allowed less than 2 yards a carry, less than 100 yards passing out of the Broncos, and forced 2 turnovers, an interception, and a fumble. Lake Dallas just did a great job on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Billy Miller, I know we had a chance to talk to him just a week prior. He was fired up and ready to go, but the Denton Broncos were only able to put 3 points on the board, and I know he's going to be back to work to figure out what his offense can do this week to put more points. They're going to have to score more points to be successful.
I was saying it earlier. Billy Miller, in his interview with us during one of our preseason shows, he was open about the fact that finding out who QB1 is going to be for the Broncos for the duration of this season is TBD, to be determined. And Blake Courtney and Cole Hager both got some time in this last game. Both got out there and did a couple of drives, and I'm sure that he's just going to continue to evaluate that as the season goes on. And that's just kind of how the ball rolls in 2020 right now.
Yeah, good stuff right there. Hey, next up, let's talk about Braswell and Rockwall. Let me bring them up here, Grayson.
Another really fantastic matchup this week. These are just two really talented, really solid teams. Braswell making their 6A debut in a non-district game against the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. And they played a great game, John. They just kind of got outscored by another really great team in Rockwall, falling 59-40.
Yeah, that was a great matchup. Rockwall, Coach Joey Florence, the athletic director at Denton ISD, has some roots there. His dad was a coach there. Coach Cody Moore came from that staff, as well as Rodney Webb. So there's a Rockwall connection, and that's probably what played into that scheduling. Hey, I do want to reset since we had to do take 2. If you're just tuning this on the replay as well, type in BBQ in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and we're going to get you entered into some giveaways all season long for both Marty B's and our friends at Suckle Busters. Here's a nice tailgate package. Man, I've been smoking. You've seen some of those pictures, some ribs and some brisket.
You've been posting on social media.
I'm kind of teasing you, man.
All that kind of stuff, man. I know. I'm sitting there
have everybody
watching.
over one Sunday and sample some of those Suckle Buster ribs.
You're gonna have to. I'm sitting around watching college and NFL football, and you're smoking ribs on Facebook. I'm like, dang.
We'll
man.
also be over at Marty B's. We're gonna schedule a live show at Marty B's.
That's gonna be a lot of fun
in the future, and probably get one of their private suites. And we did it last year 2 different times, and just pack the place and do a live show right there from Marty B's in Bartonville. Is a lot of fun too, Grayson.
Mama Vatney over here on Instagram, typing in barbecue, letting us know that the audio sounded good on Instagram too. So we'll definitely get you entered into that sweepstakes for some Suckle Busters. Thank you for that. But Denton Braswell, as we continue to talk about that Rockwall matchup that they had, John, I know that, like we said, they fell 59-40, just kind of got outscored by a really great offense in themselves with the Yellow Jackets. But Tristan McClary arguably had the best performance out of any player this week, just went absolutely berserk for the Bengals. 26 of 47, 406 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he had over 50 yards rushing, just putting the Braswell Bengals on his back in his 6A debut, really making it happen in his first game as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, you would think putting 40 points on the board, you have a high probability of winning the game, but Rockwall...
if I told you your quarterback threw for over 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, and no picks, you would think that your team would come out on top in that game. But hey, that's football.
Yeah, rushing for Braswell, Jamarion Sanford, 10 carries for 52 yards. Man, nice. 5.2 yards a carry. And then Davion Gafford, hopefully I got that first name right. Davion One of those two.
Yeah, one of those two.
Somebody
he also had 50 yards rushing. So that's 3 different guys for the Braswell Bengals that had at least 50 yards on the ground with Sanford, Gafford, and McClary at quarterback. So Braswell had a really great game on the offensive side of the ball. They were looking solid in almost every facet. Tristan McClary also completed passes to 9 different receivers. The Bengals are making it happen.
Yeah, lots of like Coach Moore. I know it's early in the season. He's got to be happy. You know, they made the playoffs for the first time in school history last season.
And remember, this is a team that's jumping from District 2 of 5A all the way up to one of the toughest districts in 6A. I know they're still a non-district, but Rockwall's a great team, and they're going to keep facing really great teams all season. We knew that this season was going to be a test for Braswell.
Well, Grayson, next up, the Flower Mound Jaguars. We're on the road at McKinney ISD Stadium. Have you had a chance to go to that new stadium yet?
I have not been to that stadium yet.
And I've driven by it. I haven't either.
It's on my bucket list, man.
But it looks right up there with like Allen and Prosper. I mean, it looks phenomenal. You see it right off I think was it the 121 or George Bush? One of the two. I think 121 highway. You see it right there in McKinney.
I've driven past it a couple times, and it does look really nice. And it's definitely on my bucket list.
But I had a chance to talk with Coach Brian Basil this past week, and anytime you get a win, especially a hard-fought victory on the road, you know, it was a low-scoring game, 10-7, but man, what a way to start the season for the Flower Mound Jaguars.
Yeah, another really defensive game for them. They also have a new quarterback in town, Nick Evers, 19 of 23, 221 yards, just 1 touchdown, no picks though, and he definitely had some connections going for him with that Jaguars receiving core. Landon Widener had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Isaac Carpenter had 57 yards. Cade Idlin also had a couple of catches as well, about 10 yards a catch. So Nick Evers, you know, obviously some improvement just to go all around for Flower Mound. And that's something that Brian Basil touched on, that, you know, just with new faces in town and new face leading the team, it's going to take a little bit of time to get the gears rolling right. But Nick Evers looking pretty solid in his debut for Flower Mound.
Hey, one thing, you know, we try to add new elements to the show each and every week, Grayson, and I know this makes you nervous because I'm not opposed. People that have been tuned in the last 4 seasons, they know I'm not opposed to pushing the envelope when it comes to trying new stuff. Oh,
that's right. You've got some
video highlights of the Jaguar game.
Yeah.
I apologize in advance. I don't think there's any audio to go with it, but this started off with Auburn. You know, great kicker. He was solid last year, and he nails a 47-yard field goal to get him on the board. And man, what a weapon to have a great special teams player like Auburn back there for you. So just check it out right here, 47-yarder right down the middle, and it's probably good for about 57.
Kind of get a look at that really nice McKinney Stadium and field there that they're playing on. Makes me
kind of a high snap here. And great job by the holder, and it's up through there. Man, it had plenty of leg. It was going to be good for about 55 there. And then Evers to Carpenter, 42-yard, I believe, a little back shoulder pass here. Man, I like having these video clips. I think if we could get the other teams and fans to send us some content, because due to COVID, you know, we can't send our reporters out there quite like we did last season.
Yeah, and Isaac, this is Isaac Carpenter making a catch here for Flower Mound. He ended the game 3 catches for 57 yards. I believe this was his biggest catch of the game. Really great snag right there on the sideline in double coverage.
And then Evers to Widener, the 75-yard pass, man. This is a beautiful in motion. It's a one-handed catch that you'll see here. I'll just say it, poetry in motion right here, Grayson.
And these are the flashes that I know that Brian Basil loves to see out of his team. And just knowing that, you know, this is just a new quarterback and a lot of new faces on this offense. And for them to go out there and have the chemistry that they had on plays like this, great catch there, you know, in your first week, even though it was just a light scoring game, 10-7, that's what your head coach wants to see out of your new offense.
And then the defense, I know in talking to Coach Basil, the
Definitely
defense is going to have to step up. But Big Stone Eby, Colton Botany played well. And here's a sack by Lukash, and then Stone Eby comes up with a recovery. And they had another fumble recovery, I think, right on about the goal line. McKinney Boyd was getting ready to score. So defense really helped win this ball game for Flower Mound.
Yeah, Jaguars forced 3 total turnovers, and like you said, a couple of them were fumbles there. That defensive front that's just so dominant with Eby and Vatney there, and they only allowed 163 total yards of offense out of McKinney, just 99 rushing, 64 passing. So the Jaguars defense definitely one of the big highlights in that matchup.
Hey, would love to hear from you in comments if you like us bringing in some video highlights. I think that might be a nice element to the show this season.
Yeah, I definitely would love to see if we could somehow get that rolling for all 9 area teams that we cover on here. And if we were able to bring in that much footage for you guys to watch, I know that that'd be great to just amp up our content.
I'll tell you what, while we're setting up, I'm going to put in comments how you can email the show. And if you get some footage or of a student videographer that can send us some footage each and every week.
Absolutely.
We'd love for you to be a part of the Denko Gridiron Show. So with that, Grayson, I'll set up Marcus in Dallas and let you kind of talk about that while I get that email out there.
So this is probably, aside from the Denton Ryan Martin game, the second best matchup from all of these games that were played this last week. The Marcus Marauders versus Dallas Jesuit Rangers. Just a really great matchup with tons of talent on the field. And Marcus goes out there, head coach Kevin Atkinson and company look somehow better than they did last year, coming out on top against the Rangers 48-31. Garrett Nussmeier looks absolutely incredible at quarterback. He did have an interception, but still ends the game, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, 27 of 39 passing. He also had 34 yards rushing and a touchdown as well on the ground. That actually led the team in rushing for the game, John, too. So Garrett Nussmeier, looking as advertised as he is one of the top D-run recruits in the state this season. And of course, J. Michael Sturdivant at wide receiver, doing his thing as well, being the number 1 target that he has been for the last several years for them. 8 catches, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I've got that posted up there, and I'll reach out to the coaches directly. But if you could send us an email, info@denkogridiron.com. We'd love for you to be a part of the show. But, Dallas Jesuit always fields good teams, very good athletic program there. And a big win for Marcus.
Yeah, they were kind of known the last couple of years as being the home to Emmitt Smith's son, who was kind of a really dominant force for them the last couple seasons. He's now gone, to my knowledge. So still a really talented program. But Marcus went out there and they, again, made their own statement in week 1, letting them know that they are stacked with talent as well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. That Nussmeier and J. Michael Sturdivant combo is just dangerous. And it doesn't help for the defense when there's also guys out there like Dallas Dudley, Tyler Schott, Connor Vaughn. All 3 of them had great games in the receiving game as well.
Yeah, Coach Atkinson, he's poised to have a deep run into the playoffs this season. We expect to see the Marauders down at AT&T Stadium, I guess late December, early January this year.
Marcus's defense, just also want to highlight them. They had a great game as well. They had 2 interceptions and only allowed 50 yards rushing on the game, really forcing Jesuit to go away from what has been their strength and have to go through the air to beat the Marauders. And Nussmeier just kind of came out on top in that matchup.
Well, Coach Todd Rogers and the Argyle Eagles had a much-needed bye week. They got off to a great start. Ranked number 1 in Texas 4A. So, hey, tip of the cap to the Argyle Eagles.
Yep.
And, look to see some good stuff from them. But, hey, wrapping up last week's games, Liberty Christian at Dallas Christian. Grayson, Liberty didn't quite get off to the start they had hoped for. We had Coach Greek on the show, and we talked about the talent of that team. But, we don't know a whole lot about Dallas Christian, but, boy, they ran into a buzzsaw there last week.
Yeah, a tough 56-14 loss that the Liberty Christian Warriors suffered to the Dallas Christian Chargers. And Steve Greek, the head coach of Liberty Christian that you can see on the screen right there, when we had him on the show, he was really raving about the Chargers and just really had a lot of great things to say about that program. Did not shy away at talking about how tough of a matchup that was going to be for his team. And that absolutely ended up being the case. It just seemed like the Warriors struggled all night long with Dallas Christian. Daniel Greek had a pretty had a pretty decent game, even though he had an interception, 183 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing. And Ty Strickland, who's also got some college offers, he had 19 carries, 112 yards at the running back position. Kellen Moran had 90 yards receiving and a touchdown. So positives to look at, even though you took a pretty tough loss. But it just seems like that Dallas Christian team was as advertised from head coach Steve Greek.
Well, hey, we do want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're live on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram over here. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We're going to reset things and talk about some of the upcoming games. We got Marty B's up on the board. Again, you can go to martybsplace.com to order carryout, reserve a spot for a holiday party or a special corporate event. And we're going to be live there. We haven't set the schedule yet, but when we do, we'll let the fans know. Probably be maybe a Monday night or a Wednesday night, or we're not sure yet. It'd be a lot of fun to be down there at Marty B's.
We'll keep you guys updated, absolutely, on when that date does come up for us to be able to go out there to Marty B's and do a live show there. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Grayson, what do we have coming up this Thursday and Friday night in the coverage area?
So we've got a couple of Thursday games for this week. 2 of them to be exact out of our 9 teams, Denton High being one of them, as they're going to actually be at home on Thursday. Well, technically not at home. Denton High, interestingly, going to be playing at CH Collins Thursday night, tomorrow night, against Saginaw Chisholm Trail, trying to get back from that Lake Dallas loss that they fell to in week 1. Just a tough defensive game for them. Like we said, we know Billy Miller and company are still working some things out at quarterback and on the offensive side of the ball. But Saginaw Chisholm Trail at CH Collins Thursday night, one of the 2 matchups going on this week. And the other one is Lake Dallas, the team that Denton High played in week 1. The Falcons in week 2 are going to actually be at Toyota Stadium in Frisco, John. Great stadium.
Yeah, they've had the last couple of years, they travel, they play those teams over there in the Frisco ISD, so they get a chance to play not only at Toyota Stadium, but they play at the Star at Frisco quite often as well.
And they'll be taking on Frisco Centennial. And I believe both of those kickoffs are at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Thursday night. Those are the 2 Thursday night games for our area teams for this week, John.
All right. Well, folks, we are going to wrap things up right here. Thank you so much for being a part of the Denko Gridiron Show each and every Wednesday. And, man, I'm fired up about this football season. We're into week 2 of 5A, 6A, and then our Argyle will be back as well. So with that, we're going to sign off.
From Fox 4, make sure to tune in to the Denko Gridiron Show.